Hey everybody, Various Ren here, and I'm here to do a intro to AI Wars Fleet Command, and a basic, quick start guide for new players. So, when you start up the game for the first time, you'll have this starting screen. Over to the left here, you have the backstory to the game, which is interesting but not important to the game itself. It's not a storyline-driven game in any sense. On the right, you get, cool AI Wars and all the different DLCs you have. And down to the left, you got your different menus. Above that, you have Host New Campaign. So for your first game, just click on that, and you'll be taken to this screen. So this is where you generate the universe in which your game will take place. To the right, you'll have various player slots. So by default, it'll have you and 2 computers to play against. You can, if you have friends who've bought the game, or you look online, or however you do it, team up with other people. But for your first game, you'll probably be playing alone, and that's for the best because you'll have a lot to learn. Now, over here in the mid-section is the map of the universe that you're playing in, and down at the bottom left, it's the section that tells you all the parameters that the map is being generated with. So, you've got different scripts, those are for just general things. The nice thing about AI Wars is all the stuff, if you mouse over it, tells you everything you need to know about it in general. Some of the stuff is a little bit more obscure, and that's why I'm here to help, but for the most part it explains itself pretty well. So, if you look here, number of planets does exactly what you think it would do. It changes the number of planets that are in your world, or in your universe, I guess. I normally go with 40. The game recommends anywhere between 40 and 80 planets, and that gives kind of the most balanced gameplay possible. The map style is really what changes how it looks. The simple one is easier to read in general, but I personally prefer the realistic. Especially once you untangle it, it becomes more readable. Although it's not great. I'm actually going to not do that. So map style dictates how the world itself is generated. In this case, I'm picking simple, and this tries to generate maps so that they're reasonably easy to read and understand. So if we bump this up to 60 planets, or actually we'll keep it at the default 80. So if we bump this up to the default 80 planets, you can just generate map seeds until you find one that looks interesting. So say you like this one because the humans have a hub near the center, and the outskirts are all going to be taken over by the AI that you have to fight. One thing you might want to try out and play around with is Untangle Map. This will basically take your map and try and jumble it around in a way that produces the least amount of overlap between the links between the stars. It won't be perfect, but it'll give you something that in general is a little bit more readable. Although, as you can see, sometimes it just makes a mess of more complex areas. So sometimes it's just good to generate a map until you find something you like. Campaign type, you'll either be playing Conquest, which is where you have to defeat the AI and take back all of the universe essentially for humanity. You can do this by defeating the 2 AI homeworlds in this case. Or you can play Defender, where you try and hold on to your territory for a certain amount of time, so anywhere between 15 minutes and 4 hours. And that might be a very good mode if you want to try and just get started with defense and things like that. But for now, we're going to leave that on Conquest. Ships you don't really have to worry about. You can do a whole bunch of different ships, but let's just leave that as simple for now, so we can get straight into it. Game options, depending on how you want things to run and what your computer's like. So if your computer's having performance problems once you start playing it, you can bump down the unit cap. And you can change the playstyle if you prefer a slower game or a faster game or whatever. AI options lets you dick around basically with how the universe will evolve and how the AI evolves. And same things with the different AI. You can also change how some of them act over here. So you can do things like Assassin. Harasses the strongest player with prejudice, sends somewhat larger waves and somewhat smaller defensive reinforcements. So the idea is they try and pick off the strongest person. All these are different ways that sometimes subtly, sometimes very drastically change the way the AIs act. But for now, I'd probably leave it on a random, moderate, or easier. So you don't know quite what you're getting into, but you know, give or take, that it's going to be something you can hopefully handle. So, once you have everything to your liking, you get to pick which system is going to be your starting system out of these ones that have the little ship icons on top of the stars. And each system is going to give you a different starting ship in addition to the standard block that you get. So a good one to go for normally is an armored ship or a bulletproof fighter. Space tank, something generally that's survivable, so you don't have to spend as much money early game rebuilding your army. So here I'm going to go for this bulletproof fighter. You just left click on it and you see the links between it and the other stars get highlighted, and the circle around it becomes a little bit more yellow. So now when we hit start game, we will be put into the game world we've just generated at the system we just selected, and we can begin building. So this is going to be the first thing you see when you enter the game world. This is your orbital command station, and it's the hub of every star system that you're ever going to take over. Every time you move in, you build another one of these there, and it solidifies your hold on the star system. Over here to the right, we have the mercenary space docks, the normal space docks, and the starship constructor. The main thing you're going to be using early on is the space dock. So you can right click to set a waypoint, click this button over here, that sets your units to build in a repeating loop, and for now, just start building everything you can. You're going to need a large fleet, and it's a good idea to get started on that early. Now if you hit B, you'll bring up your economy tab, and a good thing to build early on are engineer drones. These basically build all of the structures that are produced and used in your star system. So the more engineer drones you have, the faster things will be built. And since this is your home system, it's a good idea to add a fairly large number of them, because you will need them to churn out ships. So now you see the ships that you're producing are getting made ridiculously quick compared to what they were just like. So now that we have a decent fleet, it's time to start setting our eyes on where we're going to be taking over next. Because the game really starts to get interesting once you're able to go and take over other star systems and start building an empire. So if you hit tab, you'll bring up your universe map, and this is going to vary depending on what world seed you used and where you decided to start off, what you wanted to focus on. But for example, I might look at this and say these two systems, Isdam and Micmond, are two very important systems. If I can hold those two, I secure this entire area from the AI, and all I have to do is protect these two systems. I might say the same thing for Zinghar. If I just hold Zinghar, I control this entire section. I can just pick it off one system at a time with no hope for reinforcements. So my goal might be to get over there and take it over. And the first step would be to take over Wixia. But obviously the first thing we'll want to do is scout out Wixia, because we don't want to just go in there blind. So, if you see over here on the far left, there is the scout drone. So I'm going to remove everything from my production tab so I can separate them, set the rally point somewhere else, and produce my scouts. And I will then use these to go scout the other systems so I can figure out what's going on and what I need to be worried about. So to scout another system, you just select one of your scouts, and in this case we're investigating Wixila. So when you hover over it, there's a useful tooltip if you ever forget. Right click and control to send ships through. Control and left click just to send your view through. Here we can see this is the fog of war, and as soon as our scout enters the system, we are able to see everything about the system, and our scout books it towards the edge of the map to avoid getting destroyed, so we get the most information we can. So in this case, we see over in the top left, it's telling us there's an enemy black hole machine that prevents our ships from exiting. So any attack here is going to be a success or failure kind of thing. We won't be able to leave until we've either won or we've died. We could destroy it. The problem with that is that it raises the AI progress when it's killed. Now, and the problem with that is that it basically makes the AI stronger. The higher the AI progress, the more it takes notice of you, the more it tries to stamp you out. Over to the right, we have the list of the different ships that are in system and the different structures. So the main thing you're going to be focusing on finding is the AI orbital command station. So in the same way that your system has a command station, they have a command station. However, a lot of the time you won't be able to directly attack this station. You're going to have to take out support structures first. In this case, there's the Special Forces guard post that has to be killed before the station can be destroyed. So we're going to try and destroy this force field to destroy the guard post, and then head down and destroy this command station. And once you've done all that, it's just a matter of mopping up the rest of the units in the system, and then moving in a hive ship to take it over. So as we come home, you can see that your fleet is now actually quite large. And if you just mouse box over, you can select everything. Control 1 to 0 lets you set control groups. That way you can quickly select units, and that's useful if you're trying to send reinforcements in. You can have your army inside of the enemy system as one control group, and your reinforcements that are grouping up as a second one, and you can jump between the two. And since we know what we're trying to attack and how we're going to attack it, we're just going to take all these, control right click, and send them into the system we are attacking. So they come in and instantly kill everything around them. And we're going to try and get up here and kill this force field. Generally, the goal isn't to necessarily wipe out the entire enemy fleet, especially not when you're dealing with small fleets like this, because they're going to be reinforced and you're going to spend a lot of time taking fire from stationary structures trying to kill them all. A lot of the time you'll want to rush your objective and try and take that out before you start worrying about killing all the units in the system. So just right click to attack the force field here, and we'll be able to watch it as it dies. And you can see as our troops are traveling, they're still shooting at enemy ships as they go past. So it's not like you're just completely defenseless as you travel. Here the force field will start shrinking as it's taking damage. Our fighters got here first. As our bombers and stuff get here, they'll do more damage. They're there. And once this is destroyed, we'll be able to start doing some serious damage. Kill this lightning ship just because it's going to prove a problem otherwise. So, shield's almost down. You can actually switch fire to things that are left outside the shield as it shrinks if you don't want to spend the time killing the entire structure, but it makes no difference one way or the other really, because they both get destroyed once the system is taken. Okay, so now that the guard post is down, we can come down and directly attack the AI orbital command station, and if you left your things to auto-produce while you were away, you'll see when you come back, you've actually got all the ships that you've lost have already been replaced. And one thing you might want to consider eventually is adding on flagships and different capital ships that all have various descriptions. They're normally quite powerful, but expensive, and very vulnerable to specific structures that the AI might have, so you'll want to keep an eye out for those. In particular, mass drivers destroy capital ships incredibly quickly, so you'll want to be careful about bringing capital ships into systems that have mass drivers. So now that we've taken out the station, you can see the AI is trying to book it to the nearest gate out. And they're basically trying to retreat, cut their losses, and once we've cleaned up most of them, we can move our ships in here and start colonizing. So yeah, sometimes when you come into a system, you'll find it has a core shield generator. Now these basically provide a force field for the home AI system. And once you destroy all of them, all the different networks that they're linked into, you'll be able to kill the core itself. And the way you destroy these is by building your own command station inside of the system. So to do that, we're going to come back to our main system, press B to bring up our economy tab, go to construction, and build a colony ship. You just left click to select it, left click to put it down. Our engineer bots will build that quite quickly, and we can now send it into the system we've recently liberated. Now one thing you'll notice is I'm not killing this black hole machine. That's because it A, produces AI progress when it is destroyed, and B, it's captured. As you can see in the bottom left, it's captured once we take control of the system, so we'll then be able to use it for our own good. So I'm going to take the colony ship and place it right next to the wormhole leading to our home system, and for this one I'm going to put down a military command station. This will provide extra fire, extra health, and stuff like that for the system. But most importantly, when I put down a force field to defend them, I'll be able to defend both with one force field. If you're finding that things are taking a little bit long to build, you can head back to your home system and move some of your construction drones over to the other system. So there we go. Got my engineering bots in here repairing that quickly. And now that we have that up, we can start worrying about defense. And it's a good thing we're worrying about defense because, as you see in the top left, we've got 131 AI fighters coming into Suquanar, our home system, in a minute and a half. So we have to have our fleet ready and everything set up to defend against that. But the first thing I'm going to do is start reinforcing this system by putting up a force field that will cover both the wormhole and our military station. This will stop things from being able to fly in through here straight to our home system. They're going to have to fight their way through. And it will let us concentrate our defenses. Back here, we can do something similar, but since we already have a force field up, instead what we're going to do is focus on turrets. We'll do the same thing in the other system, but for now, we just need to worry about getting stationary defenses up. We got 45 seconds left to do it, and it's a fair amount of time. So you'll want to put down some needler turrets and laser turrets and things like that. These are generally close range. And since all of the wormholes are on one side, I'm going with a more unidirectional defense that assumes the enemy is going to be coming from a specific direction. Missile turrets have a longer range, so I can put those behind it, where they'll be a little bit more safe. And one of my favorite things to use are tractor beams, because they're hilarious. And if we're lucky, some of these will have time to get built. I'm going to draw my fleet back into the force field. Turrets do less damage, and actually all units do less damage if they're inside a force field when they're firing. So generally you'll want to put your turrets outside so they do the most damage they can. But it also keeps them safe if you put them inside, so there are benefits that need to be weighed. See, our missile turrets are firing. Don't do a ton of damage, but over time they'll pick away at different units. And it looks like they've reconsidered and are heading into our newly claimed system. They're getting kicked out because of the force field, and our fleet will be able to head in and help defend that now. But first we'll kill this capital ship in there. So in the same way that we can build capital ships, the AI will also bring some of theirs, because they're useful. One of my flagships got pulled up, but that's good because it's going to provide buffs. All these lines are different ships that it's providing buffs to, so they'll all do increased damage. Over here, the capital ship is almost taken down. Unfortunately, tractor beams don't work on capital ships, but it looks like we've just about got it down. 20% left. See, it's got a ton of health. There we go. So now take the rest of my fleet, send it in to reinforce my newly claimed system. Although it appears to be doing well on its own, I'm going to move these guys out of the force field where they do full damage, because I don't think we're in any danger of losing. And then there shouldn't be too much more to do before you guys are ready to go out and undertake your own AI wars game. The first thing I'm going to do is kill this core. So now that we have it controlled, it can be damaged. You can see our wormhole generator, our black hole machine is going to keep enemy ships in here. So it means attacking this system to get to our home system is going to be incredibly hard. And defenses here are going to be doubly effective because there's no way to circumvent them. Core is almost down. There we go. So, now that's down. And generally what you'll want to do now is reinforce the system as much as possible. How you defend it is up to you, really. I personally like tractor beams and then going into missile turrets and general short-range turrets. I've done some things where I go with sniper turrets at the very edge of a system, with minefields in between my station and my turrets to keep them safe. You can also do overlapping force fields that just mean you have to plow through a bunch of different turrets to kill them. And defense really is up to you. You can also build fortresses that are generally quite tanky and hard to kill. But defense is really up to you, and it's one of the most fun parts of the game is experimenting into the best ways to defend and the best ways to develop choke points to focus your enemies down and develop kill zones for them. But basic defenses are quite easy and quick to erect, and you'll be able to, once you have them, defend the first couple of attacks fairly easily. However, obviously, these initial ships that you have, even once you added on some of these capital ships, aren't going to be enough. So, one thing I failed to notice when that capital ship came in is that it knocked out my ship production facilities, which is no problem. I can just come in to construction, build a new space dock, and hell, I'll build a new mercenary space dock as well. And some new engineering drones. You can also build ship docks in other systems. So if you plan to turn one system into, say, your main staging area or your production capital, you can just focus all your production facilities there and just have them churn out ships incredibly rapidly. And that way you don't have to worry about changing how your different ships are rallied. So, as you can see here, we've exhausted all the ships that we can build of this tier. But there are these tantalizing grayed out options up here of tier 2s and 3s, and as you go on you'll unlock the ability to get even different ships. The ships that were offered to you at the beginning of the game but that you didn't take. So, say those electric fighters, or dish shuttles, or etc., all the different ones that you had to turn down in order to get whatever ship you did choose. And you unlock those by researching. So, I think once again, the ship got destroyed during that attack, but if you come into the building, there is a science lab, and that basically generates research on each planet. Every planet that you build it on has a research cap. Once that research cap has been reached, the facility is essentially useless. But you'll want to be building this on all of the systems that you colonize. Gonna have to put up some quick defenses here. Sorry for that minor transgression. Apparently AI have no respect for learning. Anyway, so as I was saying, once you've built this science lab, it generates research points, and those accumulate up here, and you can have a total of 3,000 knowledge per planet. Once it reaches 3,000, they won't generate any more for that planet. And that's what this number represents. Once it hits 3,000, that'll be it. No more, you'll have to take up more planets if you want more research. That represents just the idea that each system only has so much it can teach you. But if you also click on it, you see you've got your different things that you can research. So you can research better turrets if you feel like defense is more what you're going to focus on. Over here you have all the different ships that you can unlock, tier 2s and then tier 3s. And if we unlock the Standard Fighter Mark II, you'll see the interesting thing is the Mark IIs have a completely different population cap than the tier 1s. So not only, once you get tier 2s, it doesn't make tier 1s redundant, it just lets you add tier 2s on top of your fleet. So there's no downside to researching more. It's not like it's going to make your fleet obsolete or anything. In addition to that, you'll also have your capital ships. You'll be able to get bigger and better capital ships, including some of the DLC ones, like the Spire stuff. All of those can be found in different star systems as well, that have specialized production facilities. So in the same way that this can make, or my space dock can make our standard fighters and bombers and such, you'll find facilities that can focus on making Spire ships or Zenith ships and things like that. Economy is where you can unlock new engineering drones in the same way. They have their own population cap, so if you need more engineering drones, that's the way to do it. Different metal harvesters, better command stations, so on and so forth. Different support things. And the best part about all this is that AI Wars is great in that they describe everything. So if you mouse over it, there's a ton of information there for you, and if you just take a moment and read, there's a pretty good chance that the game will explain it for you. And once again, a bunch of different stuff under turrets, which I've already gone over. So, now that you've designed your empire, built and claimed a system with your first fleet, reinforced what you've now taken and what you own, and started thinking about what you're going to research in the future, you got a pretty firm footing for your AI Wars empire. From here, You can think about different systems that you're going to take, defensive locations that you want to try and hold and fortify, different technologies that you want to aim for higher up and how you're going to get the research points for them. And if you run into anything that you don't recognize or that you're confused about, you can always just go on Google and search it up. There's plenty of documentation about this and people who are better at the game than I am to help you out. But I hope this has been helpful. I'm Various Ren. Subscribe, like, leave a comment if you found this helpful. There's an annotation up on the screen right now for my Let's Play where I'm working on my own empire, and you can see how this is kind of carried out with the goal of winning in the end, not just to be educational. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll see you guys next time.